Hi, and welcome to the Grumpy Bagel podcast. I'm your host, Megan. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as the Grumpy Bagel. Thank you for joining me today. It is episode 11 today. It is I'll check my phone again, the 15th of March. It is very rainy this week in Central California, but we're very happy for the rain, so apologies for the weird lighting situation that goes with that. But here we are. I have had an eventful time since I last recorded. I know I ignored my 3-week proposition that I made last time. It is now 4 weeks since I recorded, but stuff happens. I was going to record last week, but some unexpected things came up and it just, wasn't feasible. But I am here now. So in between then, I went to Stitches West, which was amazing. I'm not going to talk about it at the outset. I'm going to save that for the last segment of today's episode because I have a lot to tell you. I have a lot to show you. I have an embarrassing haul that I brought home with me. And I know not everybody likes seeing a long acquisition segment. So I'm going to have acquisitions, but I'm going to save Stitches for the very last. So if that's not something that you're interested in, you can stop watching there, and then I will see you next time. I was also a guest on the Mostly Rational podcast, which is an audio podcast hosted by my friends Asia and Tani. And it was episode 5 that they just released. So it's called Knit Pearl Get It Girl, I think. Yes. You can listen either on Podbean or on iTunes as well. So we talk about pretty much everything. We ramble a lot, which is a disclaimer for this podcast at the very beginning that they take in questions from viewers and that leads to other suppositions. Is that even? Ignore that. We talk about all sorts of things, but we actually do talk about knitting at the end when we remember to at a certain point, and we get I was going to say surprisingly cerebral, but that sounds really pompous, doesn't it? But for us, if you listen, you will start to understand the chemistry between the three of us and why we talk about certain things and do. So the reason it's called Mostly Rational is because I'm not sure if you were familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality types. There's 16 personality types. And let's see, Asia is an INTP, and Asia and I are both INTJs, and those two are considered within a subcategory of rationals within that mindset. So that's why it's called Mostly Rational. And we talked about everything from Van Gogh to Elvis on there, and then got some knitting in between. So I hope you will go over and take a listen. Give us a listen there on that episode and see what you think. So I'll put the link down here for everything, so go check it out. So let's go right into our regular segment, starting with finished objects. And the first finished object I have, I'll show it to you. This is the Brickless by Martina Beam, which is a very large worsted weight asymmetrical shawl. Let me see if I can get it from this long thin end here. Which goes through different sections of eyelet, 1x1 rib, and garter. And it starts all over again. So it is huge. It kind of has the teeth edging here, almost not too dissimilar to Hitchhiker, say, which is also by Martina Beam. I knit this out of the Drop Spindle 100% Superwash Merino in a one-of-a-kind colorway. There wasn't a name listed with this, but it is these jewel tones of royal purples, and there might technically be blue in there, kind of going into some magentas and greens. And so what I was going to say, if you remember, maybe, I started this back in September and basically introduced it and never talked about it again. It's cold, so I'm going to just go ahead and get all snuggled up in here. What happened back in September is I started it, got about one repeat in, and I was off by a stitch on one of the sections, and I could not figure out for the life of me what I had done wrong. And apparently that was enough to dissuade me from picking it up for another 4 months. You know, I thought surely there was a problem with the pattern, but you know, she's such a popular designer. I don't know how that would, I don't know. And I just got distracted. So at the end of January, must have been, I picked it up again and just pulled everything out. Like I said, it was only one repeat, so like basically this much. Started it over again, no problem. Whatever it was me. So once I figured that out, it went really, really quick. And it was done the last time I recorded, but I hadn't blocked it yet. And with that many different kinds of stitches, it was really, you know how curly and wonky it gets. I really wanted to show it to you when it was blocked, to see it in its full glory. So I used number 7, US 7 needles for this. I haven't had the guts to actually measure it yet because it is so big, but it's so soft. See, I got this yarn last year on the San Luis Obispo yarn crawl. I think I got this at Grover Beach, but it is gorgeous. It was a 250 gram skein. I know, right? And I have like this much left, so a little bit of yarn chicken, but I won this time. So that is my brickless. Speaking of yarn chicken, last time I showed you my vamping shawl, which was by Jennifer Dassow, and I was using Greenwood Fiberworks Stardust in their Victoria colorway, but it had been kind of broken up into a speckle gradient version instead of the variegated that they normally have altogether. And I said that I had played yarn chicken on that thing and had lost. So I pulled back and started the decreases 1 repeat early so that I could use up all of the yarn. Guess what? I had too much of the yarn left. Like 20 grams worth, so like one of the mini skeins that came in that set. I did not want to do that. I wanted to use up as much of this as I could. So I did what I said last time I was not going to do. It was to rip it all out and start it all over again with a smaller needle. That's the thing with knitting. You should listen to your gut, and sometimes you shouldn't listen to your gut. It's like Gage tells you the truth sometimes it lies to you. You just go with it. And yeah, I was mad about it for a little while, but not too much, because this time I finished and I used up all of it. All of the yarn. Actually, one second. This is how much I had left. See if it focuses. I have it's 3 or 4 grams out of 146 grams I think I measured that I had altogether. So, sorry, zoomed in on you right there. So I finished and blocked my vamping shawl, and I am very, very happy with how it came out. So like I said, it's shaped like a Find Your Fade in the way that it starts from this small point here. So you'll see how that was the most lightly speckled skein, mini skein, and then gets more and more heavily speckled as it goes, and then gets more and more chocolate browns into there as well, is what we end up with. I'm trying to figure out how to show you this all in frame. There, that's better. So I'm very happy with how this came out. I love the effect that this set had and the dye technique. This is supposed to be more of a straight line from the edges here to the actual bind off here, and you can see where it would stop at the center double decrease line here. I used a super stretchy bind off. No, I didn't. Yeah, yes I did. Never mind. Sorry, I didn't sleep very much last night, which goes against one of my rules for recording, is to not record when I am sleep deprived or hungry. But I had lunch, so I'm no longer hungry, but I am still very tired. So, but I really wanted to record today, so we're pushing through, guys. So I didn't do the bind off that is stated in the pattern. It felt too tight to me. And then I tried an I-cord bind off, and for some reason that still felt too tight to me. And I really, really did not want to have a puckered edge when I blocked it, or even risk breaking it if I pulled it too hard. So I used a super stretchy bind off on top, and now it kind of looks a little too stretchy. So so it's not a really sharp edge, is what I'm trying to say. Don't know if you could tell that or not, but so I mean it rolls, but that's just what's going to happen when you have a top of stockinette stitches there. Which, although all things considered, I'm not too mad about, because I would much rather have a stretchy edge than an edge that was too tight and, like I said, risk it puckering or risk it breaking even while it's wet. But all things considered, I am very happy with it. I think it looks very elegant. And this is a sparkle base. I'm not sure if you can tell up here a little bit. And this is a really fun knit too. It has a repetitive eyelet sections here, which are really easy to get the hang of. So, I'm very much looking forward to this, and it's so soft too. And get it the right way around. Actually, it would help if I did the regular edge over here first, huh? I told you I'm sleepy. There. Now that down. Oh. Get the point. So, my vamping shawl. On to works in progress. I have some Mercury socks by Kim Droder, which I am making in Once Upon a Corgi Marie Cutie. That's her base in the Hedwig colorway. So that's how the lace is coming out so far. I am almost done with the gusset decreases on this one. And these are fun. I can see what all the hype about them is about. So here is Hedwig in the cake. You can see some of the black and brown speckles there. Ooh. Yeah, that's a little better. So I am using US 1 needles and using the 60 stitch version. So I said I am still going to, I enjoy making these, but I'm still going to see how I feel about lace socks. I haven't made lace socks before because I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about the lace when it's actually on my feet, if I'm going to say that's too open, but I guess I won't know until I try. So, oh man, that's bad. There we go. It's a little easier to see there. And this is a new blend of wool for me to use. This is a Corriedale nylon blend. And I remember Gabby saying that it's an interesting blend because it feels fairly rustic in the skein, which it does, but then it softens a lot when you block it. So I'm really looking forward to see how that turns out. So, Mercury socks. I'm so sleepy and awkward. My second work in progress is an almost finished object, and it is a shawl which is still on circular needle, which means there is no good way to show it to you, and every attempt is just going to get more and more awkward. I am making a Pure Joy shawl, which is by Hoki Locatelli, which is shaped with short rows, which adds to the general awkwardness of trying to show this to you the right way up. So, there. So, it is a series of wedges formed with your main color and eyelets in your contrasting color with short rows. So I am done with the main color and am slowly working on the border. So You can see there's no good way to show this to you right now. But my main color here is Destination Yarns, what did I use? Postcard in the Dragonstone colorway, which I have been obsessed with lately. So it's these browns speckled with orange and pink, and just every once in a while a little bit of black in there. And then for my contrasting color for the eyelets is Malabrigo Sock in Wales Road, which is this delicious blue with greens and purples in it. I'm not sure if that's going to show up very well on camera today with the lighting. Eek. So, and then border here. So I'm very much looking forward to showing this to you when it's off the needles, blocked, and you can see how it's supposed to be, as opposed to this. Amber was just talking about this on Yarn Hoarder about once you get shawls on, then there's no way you can do it elegantly or do the project justice. But I love how because you're using short rows, how all the segments come together, even with the eyelets. And this really is a pure joy to knit. It is so fun, and even with short rows, it's really easy to memorize. And since you're working in garter stitch on this, you don't have to worry about picking up your wraps when you do short rows. Like with other things, you have to pick up the wrap and knit them or purl them in a certain way to try to make them as invisible as possible. With garter stitch, you don't have to worry about that. It actually looks better if you don't pick up your wraps. It blends in just perfectly. So this has been so much fun. And I just might have to make a few more when I'm finished. Because I'm going to be sad when this is done. So, my pure joy. So now we are on to acquisitions, which again isn't going to be including anything that I got at Stitches. So that will still be later, still coming. Go ahead. So the first thing I have to show you is the latest installment of the Who's Your Doctor Club, which is run by Nerd Girl Yarns. So this is the end of the winter quarter of the club. And I did sign up for another quarter coming up, so I'm definitely going on a yarn diet after Stitches, but that has already been paid for, so that doesn't count against my yarn diet. So that's what I keep telling myself anyway. Anyway, this is, again, I get the Bounce and Stomp base, which is her 4-ply 75-25 superwash merino nylon and, no, superwash merino and nylon. That's what I meant to say. I'm so tired. So this is Trying to Be Enigmatic. Show you there. Which is inspired by Bill Potts, who was the Doctor's companion in this latest season, season 10 of Doctor Who. Which gives me all sorts of feels because she was great, and I'm sad that she's not continuing with next season, but you know, still, it was a great storyline for her, and you know, spoilers, I don't want to give away too much of this, but to see all these bright colors of different clothes that she had, and for her costumes surrounded by this medicinal gray, it gives me all sorts of feels, and it's just like, yes and no, and I can't tell you anymore if you haven't seen it. So anyway, Bill, so Trying to Be Enigmatic. And the second thing to show you in acquisitions is actually a grouping of things that is also Happy Mail. So I recently did a swap with my friend Raquel, who is Color Me Happy on Ravelry and Color Me Happy 2 on Instagram. And she sent me the most amazing package, you guys. I mean, I can't even. She's so kind and sweet and so creative and knows me so well. So thank you so much, Raquel. Feelings. So I want to show you, first thing, she made me a project bag. Isn't this sweet? Try to get closer there so you can see all the patches. So she's an excellent quilter and sewist. And this is in Liberty of London fabric as well. I got a nice handle here and zipper pulls and progress keepers. So you have a suede tassel here. And I'll just take it off so I can show you easier. And another zipper pull or progress keeper, which is a sweater on some needles. And on the inside, let's see, I've got some, she put some pockets in there, which is amazing. And let's see, maybe you can see a little better there. These are quotes from all the love declarations in Jane Austen novels. How amazing is that? I love it. And now I'm gonna, you know, every time I open it, I'm gonna just randomly look around and see which one jumps out at me the first. So there's Captain Wentworth's letter in here, and when Elizabeth finally realizes that, yes, maybe Darcy's not so bad after all, and when Emma realizes that no one can have Knightley but her, and just all these things. And it's nice and squishable, but sturdy at the same time. And nice and roomy. You can see, nice boxed bottom there. And then, of course, it was filled with all sorts of lovely things. All sorts of lovely things. I'm trying to decide where to start here. Let's see. Oh, she made me a notions pouch. All these nice, some lace fringes or edgings there, and let me take it off. And another zipper pull and progress keeper, which is this lovely teapot. There. So delicate, and it's nice and heavy too. It's got a nice weight to it. So, and then is something in the pouch as well. So some more of the Jane Austen quotes here. I have a measuring tape with some matching fabric as well. There. Put that back in. I have some teas, which are from Harney and Sons. So there is a Tower of London blend and Earl Grey Imperial blend. I love Earl Grey tea. I might treat myself to one of these today since it's so, you know, dreary and wet, and you just have to have some tea during times like this, don't you? You just have to. And then she got me some Cocoa Knits Notions, which is amazing. I have a stitch fixer. So it's like a little crochet hook, but with some slightly different sizes of hooks on either end, so that if you have drop stitches, you can pick them up the ladder more easily than by hand or using your knitting needles to try to do it. So this has some more security to it. I have some stitch markers of various kinds. So I'm trying to figure out how to open it without spilling everything out. So there are in different finishes as well. So there is silver, copper, and gold finish. I'll show you these with the, oops. I'll get it, Raquel, I'll get it. Show you them with the kind of the, some people call them light bulb stitch markers or coilless pins, so that they don't snag on your knitting or anything, which is awesome. And she got me a Maker's Keep, which I'd seen these before. So what it is a kind of a snap bracelet, because I got the mint color, which you just put over your wrist like that. But then, since it's magnetic here, I'll use this as an example. you can just snap your tools onto it, or your darning needles, or your stitch markers. If you're, picking them up and putting them down all the time for a project, you just put them on here, and then, they won't go anywhere. So you don't have to worry about that. I probably should have used that before I showed you the stitch markers, then I wouldn't have dropped it. Oh well, I'll get it. So that is awesome. I found it. And I got a pen to keep all my notes with. Okay. It says Inspire on. I'm not sure if you can see it very well. Alright, that's better. So, and a Lavishe bar. Lotion bar, which I have not tried before, but this is the pear scent. I almost said colorway or flavor. Neither of those is particularly appealing for what it is, but oh, that's lovely. I was going to say, here, smell, but you can't do that. Sorry. And then she got me some Luca needles. I've been hearing so much about these, and I've heard some different ways to pronounce it as well. I have heard licky needles, licky needles, and lach. Okay, maybe I made that up, but Luca is sounds the most right from what I've heard from comparing it to some other words with how this works, but you didn't need to know that. So these are the driftwood needles. So these are some 16-inch circulars. I have one in size 6 and one in size 5. So I'm very much looking forward to trying these. I've heard so many good things about them, so they're finally mine. And Raquel, you sly thing, she gave me my very first Plucky. I can't even, oh my gosh, I've never even seen Plucky in person before she sent me these, and my favorite color is blue. She knows this, and this in particular, this is the Paris is Always a Good Idea color. I have been dreaming of this color for so long, and there's no way she would have known that, but Raquel, thank you. I cannot wait to find something to do with these. So these are both Primo fingering. Let's see, that's probably easier to see, which is one of the MCN bases. So this is you can see small batch number 25, and of course Paris is Always a Good Idea. So I'm so happy. And then of course this was a swap package, so we were going to be swapping some minis. So she gave me some minis, and she put them in a little sheep mug. Look, it's so cute. Little sheep. I can't. Thank you, Raquel, so much for such an amazing swap package. And oh, I gotta show you all these colors too. Let me take them out. So I have these. I don't know the names of the colors, but there. There. And these, which are just also delicious. I can't wait to add them to my Cozy Memories blanket, and maybe something else afterwards. I'll have to think about it. But this sheep mug, it's so cute. Actually, that's what I should do. I should have some tea today while it's raining in my new sheep mug. So that is from my lovely friend Raquel. Thank you so much. I was so overwhelmed by your generosity and thoughtfulness on this package. So thank you again so much. So, time for the main event. Stitches West 2008. Wow. I mean, for my first stitches, this was, it's like 3 weeks later. I'm still processing a lot of what went on there. So what happened for me was I was able to leave work early on the Thursday and to drive down to Santa Clara and stayed the night there. We had an amazing dinner. My mom came with me, because she's the only one I can possibly think of who would, you know, go with me on such crazy adventure. That was just like, you're looking at what now? Yarn? Oh, that's cool, I guess. Do you buy stuff there? Yeah. So, anyway, she's the only one within the close proximity who could understand doing that and would consent doing that with me, because I didn't want to go all the way by myself. So she's a good fiber friend and a good mom. Thanks. So we had dinner at a place called the Fault Line Brewing Company, which was excellent. We had an amazing roasted cauliflower appetizer with chimichurri. Excellent. Good drinks, good food. And got to get some sleep the night before. And I tried not to be too anxious about the day, just because if there's anything to be anxious about, I'm going to be. So we didn't get to the convention center at 10 o'clock, exactly when the market opens, due to some misadventures in trying to get to breakfast, involving an inaccurate GPS. That was fun. But, you know, everything turned out okay. We still got a nice breakfast at the place we were intending to go, not the place where the GPS took us. And got the convention center, got in, and, you know, it unfolds before you. You've never seen so much yarn in one place before. And it's just that I managed pretty well. I have to admit, by the time the day was done, we only spent about maybe 5-6 hours in the marketplace, actually, altogether. And by the time we were, you know, thinking about going home, I was starting to just kind of go through the aisles and just making sure that I had seen everything. I didn't walk into the booth, but it was just like, okay, I won't be at peace with myself unless I know I actually saw everything. And by that time, it was just like, okay, I need to get out. I need to go home and get some rest. But it was amazing. And I was bad and didn't take very many pictures or footage like, you know, a good podcaster should. Mainly because I was so overwhelmed by what was going on, or I just forgot to take out my camera. And I'm still struggling with being comfortable with taking out my camera and, you know, taking pictures and video without feeling self-conscious. And a lot of times, you know, I want to respect people's privacy and not just come up and say, hey, let's take a picture together, and just try to ask and make sure that it's okay, that they're not busy, and, you know, just trying to be polite and decent about the whole thing, which just ends up with me not doing anything. But, you know, it works. And I was talking at the Western Skynet's booth with the Yarniacs. Again, so, hi Gail, hi Charlene. And even they were saying that this year's event was almost too big, which made me feel better, but they were saying that it was almost just too much, even for them, and they are Season Stitches attendees. And so that made me feel better, tried to put it in perspective since it is my first event. But it was good to see them. And you see everybody there. And it is so neat to see people in person, or, you know, maybe you know their voices, but to see them in real life, or just you've been following, you know, Instagram feeds and Ravelry groups for these products for so long, and to just finally see the maker themselves with their product. It's so amazing. That was probably my favorite thing was, you know, I got some nice yarn, but to see the people, that's what I like best about it, because you're just walking around, and then it's Anne from Little Skein, the plucky knitter. That was huge. You should have seen the crowds that were always in there. Amy from Canon Hand Dyes. I have like all of your stuff. And there's Steve and Andy from Leading Men Fiber Arts. There's Miss Babs. Holy mother of wool, it's Susan B. Anderson. So stuff like that. That was my favorite part, and that was amazing. So, without further ado, let's go into the hall. Fasten your seatbelts, guys. It's embarrassing. I'm glad I did it. I stayed within the parameters that I set out for myself, which were loose, but here we go. So the first booth that I stopped at was Little Skein in the Big Wool, where I got to meet Anne. She is so nice and so patient, and you can see the care and love that she's vested into all of her products. She was debuting the To Kill a Mockingbird collection at her booth, so I got a sock zip bag with one of the knothole tree designs, which of course has some yarny things in it. And I love the lining too. You just barely see it there, but yeah, for the mockingbird. And I got the Mustache Yarn limited edition colorway, which is in the perfect self-striping sock base for the knothole tree. Sorry if you can see some creases on there. It's in the bin I've been trying to keep everything safe in. So I got the small skeins. She also had like jumbo skeins to kind of mimic what they did for Stitches last year, which was the Tale as Old as Time cowl, where you had 2 complementary skeins of self-striping yarn. I opted for the smaller skein, which I am good with. So maybe I'll make a cowl with it, maybe I'll make socks with it, I'm not sure yet. But it was special, so I went ahead and got that. So also my first skein of Mustache. And then, this is color I have been wanting from Little Skein for so long. This is the House Sock base, which is a superwash targi and nylon, so more new wool blends for me in the Spring Pig colorway, which is inspired by Charlotte's Web, which it's cute, but then for some reason it's the little muddy speckles on here that get me for Wilbur. That just adds so much charm to it for some reason. So you can see more in there. So definitely some socks. These will be really, really cute socks, I think. So Spring Pig. And almost directly across from the Little Skein booth was the Plucky Knitter booth. So I got to see some more Plucky in person than what Raquel had sent me. And I went in and it was huge, it was packed every time, and all across the floor I kept hearing people say, Plucky is here, Plucky is here, and you hear people, oh my gosh, and go over, and it was always packed. And there were 2 colors that always caught my eye no matter what base they were in. So I went ahead and got those. I ended up getting all Primo Fingering again. So this is the first one that caught my eye, which is Love Potion number 9. Just gorgeous tonal purple, it's almost magenta in some places. And then, like I said, I'm not sure what it is about this, but it always gets me. It's totally tubular, which is madness in speckle form, but I love it. So those were the 2 colors that I just was always drawn to. And then I picked up this, which is Be Steal My Heart, which initially I picked this up as I was trying to think of something that would go with the 2 skeins that Raquel got me to try to make a 3-color project together. So I thought, well, you know, I can use this for something, maybe that'll go, and I picked it up. And then I put all 3 of them together, and that looks kind of cool. And even when I took it up to pay for it, the gentleman who's helping me out said, wow, that looks nice. And I was like, thank you. I totally meant to do that. Yeah, I'm awesome. No, I didn't. So I'm thinking maybe a color affection? I don't know, but because there's just enough of the dark speckles in here to kind of go with the gray, but I'm thinking maybe I will do that. So that is my Plucky haul. And I got a little bag go with it, so never saw Plucky before in my life, and I've got lots of it. Well, 5 skeins. I know there's people who have lots more than that, but I'm very happy with that. And then I went to Canon Hand Dyes, which that in itself was just surreal to see all of the mini skeins, her polar opposite skeins, and the self-striping, to just see everything in person when I've been stalking her shop for so long, and to meet Amy and talk with her, that was amazing. And I think I actually restrained myself very well for who I am and all that I saw in there. So what I got was a mini set of Here Comes the Sun, which was, it's not literary inspired, but this is the latest in her mini set club, which is inspired by sunrises and sunsets. And then I got a skein of, I think it's Ane, how to pronounce this, which is a silk merino blend, as you can see, in silver. And I want to make another striped cowl, like the one that I just made with the Victorian horror skeins, but to make it with this. Oops. To make it with these. To try to be like, you know, like clouds in the sky, but to go in between those. So that's just my idea for those. So that is what I got from Canon. And right next door to Canon was White Birch Fiber Arts, which, oh my goodness, queen of self-striping, right? So I got two. I wasn't going to get anything at first, but then I remembered there's at least one color that I said next time it's available, I'm getting it. This is one of them. This is Electric Slide, which is coming out duller in real life, but it said it's probably for the cloudy weather, but it is these, it's not quite electric blue, but like maybe electric turquoise? Maybe that's a better way to describe it. Going in with 2 shades of gray there. So, tag there, Electric Slide. And then, Fade to Black, which is a rainbow with grays. So there are some, there's one that she has that is a solid black, but I like the tonal gray in this one. So these should be some very fun socks, I think, in the future. Or a cowl, maybe. I'm not sure, but these babes. And then I came across the Western Sky Knits booth, which is probably the most dangerous booth in the entire marketplace, in my opinion. That was the one booth where I wanted everything, absolutely everything. And I think these are just Kim's yarns that were on display, if I understood correctly. Because Western Sky Knits is owned by 2 dyers, and they live in different states. So, and you can start to see each of their personalities come through. So I think these were all Kim's. I think that's what they said. And Gail and Charlene were there at the Yarning Act, so I got to say hi to them and talk to them again. They remembered who I was. Fangirl moment, you know? But regardless, sorry, that sounded really pompous. But this is what I got. This is what I restrained myself to getting. I wanted everything in this booth. So I got, let's see, this is the Aspen sock with nylon base, which is in Haiku, which is, it's almost, I want to say a minty green, but it's not quite. And once again, it's not quite true to color, but that's just the day that we're having. And there's some speckles of some purples and some gray here. Some more in there. And then this is the Smooth Sock base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. This did not have a colorway name on it, so I'm not sure if this is a true one of a kind or if it was maybe an accidental oversight. But it's this gray with lots of different speckles in it of some purples, and I'm not sure if there's technically yellow or gold in there. Going to some deeper browns. And Magnolia Worsted, which is an MCN blend, and Smoked Lilac. That's true to color. That's coming out good. I'm thinking maybe a really scrumptious cowl or super special hat out of this or something. And this is Magnolia Sock, so same blend as this, but in a fingering weight base. I got 2 skeins of this. I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet, but I love this color. This is Sandstone. It reminds me a lot of Old Roses. Actually kind of like potpourri, but nice. But the way that it goes into these browns and golds and light into fading pinks, I think is just beautiful. And I'm really interested to see how this knits up. And I almost missed this color. This is the same base. It's called Mystic. And this was in a separate bin. It wasn't on one of the racks like all the rest of the skeins were. I'm not sure why it was there. But I found it, loved it, and then I got distracted by looking at other things. And then I thought I couldn't find it again. And I was just starting to despair because I really, 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 really wanted it. And I found it at the last second. I was like, yes, it's mine! And what I love about this is there's some great purples and pinks in it. But what gets me is these shots of blue. That is what takes my breath away on these. And you can see more in here. Just that bit of blue. And I cannot wait to see how this turns out when it's knit up, to just see that every once in a while in this. And there's some browns in there too, but just, that's the thing, isn't it? Just one addition of a different color, that can just make it that much more special. So that's Mystic. Then I went to the Leading Men Fiber Arts booth, which I've heard so much about them through Amber's podcast, Yarn Hoarder. She uses a lot of their yarns. And I got my very first sock blank from them. This is called their Improv sock blank. It's just beautiful. There. So this colorway is called Listen. Some of them are, a lot of sock blanks are one of a kinds unless you're using like stencils and things like that. But this is apparently repeatable. And I talked to Steve. He was the one who checked me out at the register. He's so nice, and asked if I knew how to use a sock blank, which is important. So I said I hadn't used one before, but I do know about there being a right side to work from and a wrong side to work on. So, but I was glad that he, showed that extra interest in making sure so that, I wouldn't go home and be frustrated with something that I didn't know anything about. But, so like I said, this is my very first sock blank, and I'm very, very interested to try it out. I don't know what I'll make with it yet. It doesn't have to be socks, obviously, but I'm thinking of maybe, or else maybe a really pretty garter stitch shawl, just to let the colors play together. So here is tag, Leading Men Fiber Arts. And I also got a bag from them. I was trying to look for more small bags, but obviously I keep going to big bags again. But look at the print on here. They're otters. They're otters and they're holding hands like they do when they're sleeping. It's so cute. Sorry. I don't normally go for cute things. I don't know if you can do that, but this is so cute. Oh! And there's great handle on it. And it also came, see the D-rings on the side, it also came with a strap so that you can use it like a messenger bag style, which I'm very interested to be trying out on my next trip, which, spoilers. But I love this bag. I can't tell if you can tell, but it's so cute. I'll stop now. And next up was the Laser Sheep booth, which I've been following their Etsy shop for a long time. And she does a lot of fandom inspired colors, a lot of Doctor Who colors, which, yay, and Disney, and some Star Wars, which I know that's technically Disney now, but what I love about what she does, so I should explain, I got 9th Sheep color, which is for the 9th Doctor in Doctor Who is technically my first Doctor, so he has a special place to me. And a lot of people overlook 9, unfortunately, and so this is the first yarn that I'd ever seen that was inspired by the 9th Doctor, so I thought, yes, I definitely want that. And in all of her colors, she doesn't tell you on the label here of what the colorway name is. It'll tell you the base, which is the 75-25 Superwash Merino sock weight, but how she tells you the color number, the colorway name is by these buttons on the label. So every color that has the colorway is inspired by, it will have the character as inspired by it as I'm doing this all wrong. We'll have their mascot dressed as the character that is inspired by. So it's the sheep dress. So this is Laser Sheep, but this is Laser Sheep dressed as the Ninth Doctor. And she does that with all of her colors, and I just love that. So might be some special socks in these purples and blacks, but Ninth Doctor for the win. Yay! And then there was the Miss Babs booth. I actually restrained myself really well. I went in saying there's only one base that I want to look, well, two bases I want to look at, and I will only get a color that I have my eye on. Because you could just get lost in Miss Babs. There's so many kits, so many great bases, so many great colors. But I went in, I said, only if these things, like these two things are there, only then will I get them. And I found one of them. And I decided to get Hot Shot, which is a good sock base. It has some nylon in it. It's 3-ply. But just in case I want to use it for socks, I don't know if I actually will, but just to cover my bases if I did. I have been wanting this color for so long. This is Deep Sea Jellyfish. And it's a repeatable colorway, but it's always going to be a little bit different just due to the nature of a hand dyeing. And you get some grays in there as well, almost. So I have been wanting this for so long, so I just thought if it's there, I'll get it. And it was, so I snagged it. So I don't know what it will be, but it will be gorgeous. I know that. And I went to Destination Yarns, and I got another colorway that I thought, if it's there, then I'll get it. So this is the Letter Plus base, which is fingering weight, but a 2-ply 80/20 superwash merino nylon. This is Winterfell. I love those red speckles. Absolutely love them. You know, for someone who doesn't watch Game of Thrones, I know, shocker. I am really drawn to Game of Thrones colors. And, you know, I'm on my 3rd skein of Dragonstone, so I don't know. But, and I'm really drawn to 2-ply, I'm discovering, at least for fingering weight. So this, I'm not sure what it will be, but it will be very lovely, I'm sure. And I have this thing with red speckles, which you haven't seen the half of it yet. I'll get there. And then got, this is one of the colorways that she made specifically for the show. This is inspired by California. She didn't have any left in a fingering weight base, which you'll notice. So far I've almost gotten only fingering weight, which I don't need any more single skeins of fingering weight yarn yet. That is nearly all I got. At least I know what I like, right? And I know I'll use it. And with this temperate weather, I don't really need anything that's heavier, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, this is the Souvenir, which is the DK weight. But I'm really looking for, anyway, sorry. This is Napa Valley. All those gorgeous grape tones and greens. She has I'm not sure if it's quite coordinating. She has a Napa Red. Is that what it's called? I'll research it and put the name down here of what the red colorway was for the wine. But I'm wondering, just wondering maybe, if that would look good with this in a color field shawl by Kemper Ray. I'm wondering. I'm not sure if it's too dark and if it wouldn't contrast highly enough, but it's a chance for me to get out of my comfort zone, or just my regular passive zone, I don't know, for fingering weight, and to try some DK, and it's so squishy and so soft. So looking forward to that as well. So again, Napa Valley. Then I went to Black Cat Fiber, which I found them by doing some pre-shopping for stitches, found their Etsy shop, and found this color and saw the name of it and thought, I have to have that. If they have any left in their booth when I get there, I have to have it. So I got in two, these are the red speckles I was telling you about. I got 2 different bases because these will be 2 different projects for 2 different people. This is a gray, nice kind of a slate gray base with some, they're not bright red, so you can't really tell what the inspiration is off the bat right away. I was going to say that's ironic, but it's not, never mind. Forget I said that. There's some dark red speckles. This color is called 40 wax, as in Lizzie Borden had an axe. I am so dark and twisted and sick to absolutely gush over, I shouldn't say gush, oops, to be this in love with a color. But I thought, that is so clever, and it's really understated that you just think, oh, that's pretty, and say, oh, that's kind of disturbing. But I love that. I shouldn't, but I do. So I got the DK weight skein. This is, I think I'm going to make it for a hat from one of my aunts who lives in Portland. And when I tell her what the color name is, I think she'll like it even more. And then I got the fingering weight version, which is Nomad sock, which I will be keeping for myself. So, murder twins, I guess? I don't know. I am what I am, I guess, and that happens to be dark and twisted, so 40 wax. And this is, I swear, this is the last thing. This is embarrassing. Oh, so, I got another mini set from Greenwood Fiberworks. Oh, this one's better. Which is also in Stardust, which is the same base that I made my vamping shawl out of, and this is the Shades of Turquoise Radiant Speckle. So this is a full set. This the vamping shawl was missing one mini skein for whatever reason. So I have like almost over 600 yards in this one now. So there was another base available that was not sparkly, but it was a 4-ply, and like I said, I'm more drawn to a 2-ply on here, so I'm not sure what I'll make with it yet. Probably another shawl very similar to that, because I love how the effect played out. But so that is the very, very last thing from my Stitches haul. Bam. So, needless to say, I have to go on a serious yarn diet now. How can I look at that and then say that I need more yarn? I don't need any more yarn. So if you see any more new yarn, feel free to reprimand me. Like I said, I did sign up before we went to Stitches for the next quarter of the Doctor Who, the Who's Your Doctor Club. So anything that comes in, it's already been paid for, it's already taken care of. Try to stop me from buying any more yarn that I don't need right now. Because, oh boy. That is it for this episode. It was certainly long enough and chock full of yarny goodness, which, I mean, that's good, but bad for my wallet, you know. So that is it for now. Next time I record, it will be my first podiversary in April, and I may or may not have something special lined up for you. You know, spoilers for now, but there will be a special location, which I hope you will enjoy, and hopefully I'll have some more footage to show you that until then. Not until then. So I will leave you with that teaser for next time. In the meantime, happy knitting, happy nerding, no yarn spending. I will see you next time. Bye.